YouTubers, I'm Cassandra Joy and welcome to episode 3 of Chats with Cass. I'm gonna have to apologize in advance for the traffic whooshes. There's a lot of loud things happening in the house, which meant I was banished to film outside. Not a bad situation, it's beautiful. And luckily there's no wind, so the sound quality should be great apart from very inconsiderate cars going by. This episode of Chats with Cass has been a long time coming. It's something I always planned on filming at some point. I even went so far as to film a first version and completely scrapped it by the end. I went on way too many tangents, tried to fit a lot of information into a very short amount of time, so I'm doing something I've never done before. I've scripted my video. I've been so excited to chat about this topic, but I kept putting it off because I was nervous. Today's topic is weight loss. And the reason I was reluctant to film about it is because I had this notion that I should wait until the end of my health journey before I was allowed to talk about it. I felt I needed a more drastic before and after photo, more scientific knowledge to provide. I want to talk about weight loss and why it's so hard, because if I can help even one desperate, downtrodden person have a little bit of hope, give them a little bit of knowledge, it's worth being vulnerable. It's worth discussing a hot, highly debatable topic. It's worth telling my story. I'm not a medical professional. I will be the first to tell you that I don't know everything. What I can speak about with confidence is my own experience and what has worked for me. Weight loss became a part of my vocabulary in junior high. All the popular girls in my class were built very slim, had utterly flat stomachs, and me? My body matured faster than everyone else, so obviously I looked a lot different than my fellow female classmates. I also had an insatiable sweet tooth and was a huge carb lover. Pizza, pasta, breadsticks, if it was breaded, I was a fan. Even though my mom tried to fix nutritious meals for the family, what was considered nutritional then isn't considered nutritional now, and it didn't help that my brother and I were very picky eaters. So even if my mom cooked something that was actually healthy, we didn't eat it. Sorry, Mom. My stomach was always my pain point. It was where fat got stored first. And when you're in a school surrounded by bodies that don't look like yours, whose gene sizes don't match your own, you start to get a little self-conscious. It also doesn't help when the director of your 7th grade school play switches you out from a pencil skirt to something looser fitting because, quote, as she pats my stomach, you look pregnant. That was so inappropriate on so many levels, but I digress. After that, I started packing my lunches and taking health bars to school. They were almost always chocolate, and I have zero idea what nutritional value they actually had or how much sugar was in them. My guess is it wasn't great. But my parents and I were working with what limited knowledge we had. Because I was in sports throughout junior high and high school, weight didn't become a real problem until college, because my college cafeteria served primarily sugars and carbs. Before I continue, let me insert a quick scientific fact that's important to note. Whenever I say carbs and sugar in this video, what I'm referring to is bad carbs and bad sugars. I don't think all sugars and all carbs are bad. Fruits are great for you in moderation, and they have sugars. The sugars I'm referring to are chocolate, cake, cookies, brownies, ice cream, etc. And as for carbs, everything has carbs. Everything. And obviously not everything is bad for you. The carbs I'm speaking about are pizza, pasta, and breaded things. Here comes the science part, because knowledge is half the battle. And don't worry, I'll make it short so you don't get bored. All the information I'm about to provide you is from Tiffany at My Adventure to Fit on Instagram. She's a fountain of knowledge, absolutely worth a deep dive into her content. Feeling full is a satiating hormone called Peptide YY. It releases in response to proteins and fats to keep you from overeating. Fun fact, you cannot binge on proteins and fats. Your body will not allow it. But when you eat bad carbs and bad sugars, that feel full hormone doesn't kick in. As someone with a history of binge eating, we'll get to that part of the story in a minute, I wish I had been told this. This sciencey bit of information is from Jason Wittrock on Instagram. The average person eats 17 tablespoons of sugar a day. Alongside that, the average person spikes their insulin around 16 times a day. Now, this isn't going to feel very shocking unless you know what spiking insulin actually means. And don't feel bad, because for a very long time, I didn't know. But it's a phrase that's thrown around quite often in the weight loss community, so let's chat about it. What does spiking your insulin actually mean? As blood sugar levels peak into a spike, the pancreas comes to the rescue by producing insulin, which is a helpful little hormone that tells your cells to absorb the sugar that you've just consumed for energy and storage. As that absorption happens, the spike level starts to go back down, which in itself is a good thing, but not when it's a huge spike and not when it drops real fast. That is called a sugar crash. And trust me, as someone who's had many of them, they don't feel good. If this spike and crash routine happens a lot over the course of years, you will get what's called insulin resistance and eventually diabetes. And cherry on top, every time you spike your sugar, every single time, your body stores fat. Think about that. How many times is your blood sugar spiking throughout the day? How much fat are you unknowingly storing every single day? All right, science chat done. There will not be a test later, don't worry. Let's get back to the story. I knew nothing about insulin. I knew nothing about how bad carbs and bad sugars affect the body from the inside. All I knew was that I felt awful. Immense brain fog, headaches, waking up and feeling like I had the flu. Having ADD, concentration was never my strong suit, but this felt so much worse. I was sluggish, I was ravenous, and I was gaining weight by the week. In the year and a half I was at college, I gained 80 pounds. Then I quit college and came back home and felt miserable. I felt like a failure for quitting college, felt unbelievably alone after all of my surface level college friends fizzled out. I had a major heartbreak. If you want to know more about that story, check out episode 2 of Chats with Cass. I felt completely foreign in my body. I had never been this heavy in my whole life. I didn't know what caused it and I didn't know how to change it. Thus began years of trying every diet out there. I could give you a complete list, but we'd be here all day. All you need to know is that none of them, I repeat, none of them worked. All because I was binge eating and didn't know how to stop. I'm not sure when the binge eating started, but it ended with me buying bags and bags of chocolates and candy and eating them all in a single sitting, nearly every day. I couldn't control it. I couldn't say no, and I didn't know how to stop. And I tried so many times. But that's the thing about sugar spikes. When that spike that's gone up super high, higher than it's supposed to, crashes, your brain goes, oh no, our sugar levels are too low, bring it back up, quick. It's trying to help, but it's really not helpful because what it does is give you cravings for all the wrong things. For fast sugars like chocolate and pizza and pasta and ice cream, your brain is literally working against you, trapping you in this endless binging cycle. Because science. Fast forward to being almost 30 years old, 300 pounds, and diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I was so desperate, with no hope. I'll never forget the day I was driving home from work, sobbing in my car and praying out loud, God, I don't care if you have to make me sick. Help me get better. Heal this lack of control. Help me get healthy. A few months later, my 30th birthday rolled around, and I was gifted with not 1, not 2, but 3 severe food allergies, plus a lactose sensitivity thrown in for kicks. And it was horrible. Hives are not fun, nor is having your face blow up like a pufferfish. But it was also the best thing that ever happened to me. I'd even go so far as to call it a miracle. Not just because doctors look at me like I have 2 heads whenever I tell them the story. It may surprise you to find out that gaining multiple severe food allergies in adulthood without any history of having them previously throughout your childhood is rare, incredibly. But also a miracle, because it gave me the control I needed. It gave me the ability to say no. Why? Because my allergies are garlic, which expelled all pastas, all pizzas, all salad dressings, all sauces, and then peanuts and almonds, which ex-nayed chocolates, ice cream, desserts in general. Because even if they don't directly have peanuts or almonds in them, the fact that they're made in a factory and have cross-contamination, not worth the risk. And then lactose, which pretty much disallows everything the allergies didn't cover. Now at this point in the story, you're probably thinking, please tell me there's a happy ending, Cass. This sounds awful. I wouldn't do that to you. There is a happy ending, I promise. My happy ending comes in the form of keto. Now before anybody gets up in arms, I'm not telling you to do what I do. I'm just telling you my experience and what worked for me. Stumbling across Tiffany, or My Adventure to Fit's, Instagram page was a godsend. Not only did she look like me, but she struggled like me, with binge eating and a sweet tooth and a love for carbs. But she figured out the science and made it work in her favor. I wanted to learn how. So I started my own journey with keto. It's been an imperfect journey with lots of grace, lots of trial and error, and it took a solid year for me to see any external changes at all. There was a lot of internal healing I needed to do after wrecking my body. But here I am, 2 years later, and I've never felt better. I primarily cook from home for every meal, and I pretty much only eat meat, eggs, fruit, veggies, and sourdough bread. That's it. My diabetes is in control now. Never got so bad as to need injections, thank goodness. All my levels are where they should be. None of my clothes fit in the best way. My skin is clear, my brain is sharp, I have energy. I'm no longer constantly lethargic, and my journey isn't done, not even close. But I still wanted to share my story, even though it's midway through, even though I'm not at the finish line yet, to give someone out there hope and to provide some resources that helped me. I'll link everything in the description box for you to help get you started if that's something you feel like pursuing. Please feel free to comment any questions you have. I don't know everything, but I'll try to help as best I can, or send you to people who are way smarter than me or are farther along in their journey. I'll try to help in any way I can. Keto's not for everyone, but it worked for me. I'm sure I'll do more episodes diving deeper into this topic if that's something you guys want to hear more about. But I think this is a good introduction to give you a glimpse at how my life has completely changed. Kind of like that Instagram trend, how it started versus how it's going. I'm sure there will be comments along the lines of, how can you be so happy that you have 3 severe, debilitating allergies? That sounds miserable. And while I won't sugarcoat it, no pun intended, and pretend like it wasn't hard to navigate, that it isn't still hard to navigate. We live in a very food-centered culture, and any outing, any hangout involves food, which means I can't usually partake, or I have to think ahead and prep ahead and bring my own stuff. All I can say is I will never complain about it. I made the conscious choice a long time ago to never complain about my allergies, because I prayed for them. All I asked was for God to heal me. I didn't give him any parameters, and he took the creative route. I firmly believe that the hard things in life God allows, doesn't make happen, but he allows to happen to, 1, bring us closer to him. I just had this conversation with a family member yesterday. I talk to God a lot less when things are going good, but I talk to him a whole lot more when things aren't. And 2, I think he allows hard things to happen to point back to him, to bring him glory. I mean, the fact that multiple doctors can't believe that I just happened to gain 3 horrible allergies all out of the blue in a way that science can't really explain, that sounds like a God thing to me. From where I'm sitting, that sounds pretty miracle level. Like I said, if you have any questions, please comment them down below. All of the sciencey factoids I mentioned in this video, I will link references to down in the description box. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Chats with Cass. I know this is a little bit of a heavier topic, but I really think that it's beneficial to share. If it helps even one person, I will consider it a win and worth sharing. We are currently 3,000 family members strong and counting, so if you haven't subscribed, please make sure to do so. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss a future video from me. I upload on Wednesdays and Saturdays, both at 6 a.m. and sometimes on Mondays. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. It's spring. Jeez Louise, get away. The heck is that? Go, shoot. Do you mind, bird? I'm trying to make a point.